media, and of course, MSU Denver, is Gary Striewski.
Dr. Davidson, thank you for reading that exactly as I wrote it, and as exactly as I approved it. How we doing, everybody? No. How we doing, everybody? Thank you. That's a little better. I should have got to my point in the program before I asked you that question. Stand by. This is like a commercial break. Where's the music? Question for the graduates? Are you sure you want to do this? I'll take that as a resounding yes. Normally I need a teleprompter for something like this, but I'm sure there's a lesson in here about trying new things. Matter of fact, I know there is because I wrote the speech. 500 of you, give or take, are leaving here today with everything you need to get everything that you want in life, and I promise you that. I promise you that. And I can promise you that because I was in that seat, those exact seats, in the spring of 2010. Though it was on the lawn of the Tivoli, it was a nice spring day, it was great. I was excited as heck. I was also scared as hell. What am I gonna do? I also recall when the commencement speaker spoke back then, I thought to myself, I can't hear a thing he's saying. The acoustics have got a lot better. Can everybody hear me? Everybody can hear me. That's fantastic. MSU Denver graciously asked me back in October to join you today, and this is truly, as I've told it many times, a bucket list item for me in my personal and professional life to be standing with you today, joining you on your big day. It's also an example of things not really changing much from college to the real world, because you never, ever, ever graduate from procrastination, because I finished this speech last night. It's great, it was great. Listen, it's not for the lack of trying. The thing that I got hung up on the most was how do I make an impact and be profound in the 10 to 15 minutes that the university has afforded me. Do I pay off all your student loans? Well, I am no Michael Scott, so you are out of luck. I'm also certainly no Peyton Manning. You guys invited the wrong ESPN guy with Denver roots. Oops. Too late, I'm here now, you get me. But I can offer you this, and I truly mean this. During the process of writing this speech, I did, in fact, find the answer to the question that was supposed to have no answer. I figured out the meaning of life. Humor me for the next 8 minutes now and laugh at a couple of my jokes, and you too will have that answer. But for that, I need to tell you about a story that involves a Whopper and how that became my why. It was sometime in the mid-1980s, hungry newlyweds starting on this journey called marriage are in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. Nothing but a couple of bucks and a dream. And if I remember correctly, a few sets of matching utensils. It's time to find something to eat, which becomes an issue when you remember the aforementioned couple dollars part of that dream. That's okay. Whoppers, you see, relatively inexpensive, and you get a whole lot of flame broiled for your money. Where's the camera? This isn't a commercial, but it could be. And if they were lucky, they might have enough to get some cheese with that Whopper. Imagine the privilege. They get one to split. It's all they could afford. No fries, no drink. They damn sure weren't getting onion rings. I don't think Burger King was doing those back then, but alas, it was enough in every sense of the word. This exact dinner was commonplace for these newlyweds, living off a single military income. And as they would get to their final couple bites, if I remember the story correctly, my mom would always let my dad have the last bite. My parents used to love telling me and my sister that story nearly every time that we went out to eat. My mom and dad are here right now. directly center. Can you guys raise your hands, please? Love you guys. Thank you for everything. My sister can't join us. She's back in LA being a higher educator in her own right. And I say that this became my why because it was my first memory of what struggle and sacrifice and love looked like. It looked like a freaking Whopper. And I knew then I would never put my parents in a position that they would have to share theirs with me. I needed a place that would make sure that never happened. That place is and was MSU Denver. I'm happy to report that everyone in the Striewski family gets their own these days. The privilege. Each of you have your own why. Every single one of you have your own why. And that is such an incredible feeling to have. So after you find your why, it's the what's next. If you're lucky, it comes in that order, right? I mean, you can at least have a starting point. If you're thinking what's next is to make as much money as you can, you're wrong. Kind of. But that part comes later in this story. But first, I want to introduce you to 6th grade Gary, Thornton Middle School. Anybody from Thornton here? You know, the north side doesn't get enough love, so I'm going to let this moment sink in a little bit. Shout out to Thornton. I was a product of Thornton Middle School. I loved to talk. It worked out for me. So much so the librarian stopped me one day and said, well, if you like talking so much, come do the morning announcements. My broadcast career began way before ESPN. It started on Cougar News. If you need to know what was for lunch that day, I was your Guy Fieri. Bus routes, I was all-knowing. I didn't even have a license. One day I interviewed my science teacher. Her name was Miss Ely. She was a towering figure in every sense of the word, not just compared to 6th grade prepubescent Gary, but probably post-pubescent Gary. I mean, she was a towering figure, an offensive lineman on the upstart Women's Pro Football League, and she was a lineman for the Colorado Valkyries. Big Valkyries fan in the corner. I remember interviewing her one morning in front of the whole school. It might as well have been John Elway. And I was Stuart Scott. I felt as cool as the other side of the pillow. I knew then, that day, I was going to be on ESPN one day. And I would have never known that had it not been for that librarian, who could have easily just told me to shut up. I mean, it was a library after all. Instead, she channeled it into something positive. To get to where you're gonna go, be loud and accept coaching always. A short time after earning my degree from MSU Denver, I landed my first TV job. It was in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Anybody from Cheyenne or Wyoming? Wyoming, well represented to my right, beautiful. 12 years ago tomorrow, actually, I signed my first contract. $20,000 for the whole year to be the sports anchor. You guys laugh, I was crying. To be the sports anchor at the CBS station. I took a pay cut working at my part-time credit union job to go chase my dreams. Clearly those dreams did not involve math because the math simply was not mathing. It was all good though because that doubled as a diet. I ate 1 meal a day, Chipotle, every single day for 16 months, and I loved every second of it. Take me back with a pay raise. My second job, I moved to Houston. I tripled my income. I hated it, which was proof that money isn't everything. Chipotle is. It was the first time I ever moved away from home, from my friends and from my family. It was the best and worst thing that ever happened to me. Because I don't know if many of you have ever been to Houston, but my first Christmas there, I woke up to 90-degree temperatures and 90% humidity. Let me tell you, as a Colorado kid, it's hard to get into the Christmas spirit when you have to turn your AC on at 9 o'clock in the morning. So if you're here from Houston, don't say anything. Apologize. Apologize! Here's that callback on trying new things. As important as it is to know what you want to do, and every single one of you have a pretty good idea of what you want to do, it's just as important to find out what you don't want to do in life. To get to where you're going to go, sometimes you have to be uncomfortable. And you always have to stay hungry. Kind of hungry just thinking about it. After the longest 14 months of my life, I got a job at the New England Sports Network. Nesson, baby. I don't know if I should say this, but I got to cover the Celtics and the Bruins and the Patriots. We got some New England love in the corner, and of course the Boston Red Sox. I could not have been more excited. I had family on the South Shore of Mass. I was going home. And for starters, I knew the AC would stay off on Christmas. Man, it was great. Nothing could bring me down. Except the fan base hated me. Unbeknownst to me, I was there to fill in for some of the more popular on-air personalities at the network. Barstool, they were calling for my head, death to Striewski. Dudes were mad I wasn't prettier. Sorry for my face. Whatever, get over it. But then something funny happened. One by one, game by game, I started winning them over. Not by wearing makeup, even though I do that every day, but it was just by being me. You chirp me on Twitter, I'll chirp back. You got jokes, I take improv. Let's dance. Yes, and. I thought I was gonna get run out of the city, but I didn't. The best compliment I ever got those days was when someone said, I guess if we can't have insert pretty sideline reporter name here, we're glad it's you. You don't know what it's like to get that compliment from a Boston Local 7 iron worker. It'll make you feel things. To get to where you're gonna go in life, things will get ugly, but you do not have to. I'm here as proof of someone who is living their dream in real life, not just on TikTok or Instagram or Snapchat, even though you guys can all follow me on those platforms. I post a lot, it's my job. Can you believe that? It's my job. I've told everyone who's ever asked me how they can one day get to ESPN or whatever destination they have set in their GPS that is really quite easy. I'm serious. It's easy. The world is run by the people who care to show up. That's worth saying again and listening to. The world is run by the people who care to show up. Show up when given a chance to step inside your comfort zone. Or show up and stare down the barrel of the pay cut and feel like you just hit the freaking lottery. I'm moving to Cheyenne. George Strait sang about this. Find out that everything really is bigger and hotter in Texas, and just play it cool until your next opportunity comes. These dream jobs need to be filled by someone. Why not you? Or you? Or you? Or you back there with the hat on? They all got hats on. Every single one of you. Why not you? To get to where you're gonna go, find a way to soften the iron. Because remember, iron sharpens iron. And if you're lucky, an iron worker might just pay you a nice compliment. The real world will challenge everything you thought you knew about yourself, but I know that every single one of you are ready. Now, this is my disclaimer, mostly for the friends and family and parents in attendance. Nothing will happen overnight. I know you guys are Gen Z, most of you are. Nothing's gonna happen in 15 seconds, or it's the 60 seconds, 3-minute TikTok platform. It's gonna take a little longer. I've been at ESPN now for 5 years. It took me more than a decade to get there. If I stay there another 30, I'm gonna consider that a success. If I don't, I'll consider it still a success. Because I was an 11-year-old 6th grade kid telling myself one day I was gonna host SportsCenter. And now, I'm just a 35-year-old kid who gets to host SportsCenter. Da-na-na, da-na-na. Man, what a dream. What a dream. To get to where you're gonna go, never, ever, ever lose that childlike enthusiasm. And always, always, always be persistent in your work. I challenge you, class of 2022, when we're at the end of all of this, make sure you have a story to tell. Here comes the meaning of life callback. You guys ready for it? This is what you've waited 4 years, and some of you 5 years to find out. I was one of those 5-year guys, don't worry. That wasn't a dig, that was just an admission. When you finally get to where you were going, the journey's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be amazing. When this is all said and done, make sure you not only have a story to tell, but a story worth listening to. Class of 2022, congratulations and good luck.